Welcome to Prajavahini. I'm Archana Swami. In the season of Find Your Coach, my today's guest is prominently renowned as Masterchef India Season 7 Top 9 contender. However, her expertise extends beyond this one achievement. She is a dedicated culinary professional, an educator, and also a prominent advocate for Sindhi cuisine. Today, we shall discuss her professional trajectory, her perspectives on Sindhi gastronomy, and her vision for the documentation and preservation of her culinary culture. Welcoming the Sindhi star, MasterChef Deepa Chauhan. Thank you so much for your time, Deepa.
My pleasure, Archana. It's been long pending meeting with you and doing this. I'm glad we're finally able to do it.
My pleasure too. Thank you. And how is it being Deepa Chauhan to MasterChef Deepa Chauhan?
I think it's a magical journey. It was something totally unexpected. And as most people know, there are lakhs and thousands of people auditioning for MasterChef. And I got lucky to get there in my first attempt and clear audition after audition, make it to the top 16 and then eliminated at top 9. I couldn't have been happier. The way I was thinking, I thought every episode is a bonus. And to last halfway through the show was really, really a big bonus.
And what has been your biggest takeaway in the complete season of MasterChef?
I think the more convinced you are about yourself and your ability and what you're doing, the confidence shows, and that takes you very far. You have to have a very strong conviction in what you're doing. So, I would never do dishes that I could not relate with or I could not identify with. And I think that's what kept me going. My focus has always been on clean food. Anything that's on the plate has to be completely edible. Nothing should go to waste. So, I think that saw me through.
Cooking it in pressure is extremely difficult. What would you name as the most toughest moment for you in that complete season?
Look, in the MasterChef kitchen, every day is a pressure day, and every day there are new twists. Sometimes they'll stop you halfway and then they'll introduce a twist. Like you can't use electricity, or now you have to incorporate a steamer in your dish. So these kind of twists do come, challenges are thrown at you. You never know when the next one is going to come. So it was challenge after challenge, but what really kept me steady was the fact that I was actively doing a food business before I went on to the show. So I was used to curveballs. I was used to staff not turning up, something not being available, something falling on the floor. So I think I took it in my stride, and that professional experience of a home cook who's been doing catering and supplies to restaurants, that really came in handy. So that kept me calm under pressure because I was used to pressure.
And what is your biggest takeaway from that complete season?
Believe in yourself more than anything else. And what really worked for me was shutting out every other narrative. I just had to keep my focus, cook as much Sindhi food as I can, and advocate for my community and stick to my philosophy in food, that is comforting, nourishing, and pleasing to your mind and your body.
Can you please elaborate a little more about your culinary principles?
For me, food is all about memories you create with it or what you remember when you eat something. Sometimes an aroma might remind you of a childhood episode, or it might remind you of a very happy time. And if you care to notice, whenever we get triggered by food, it's usually happy memories. So that is what the comfort in food is about, is that you are evocating or you're trying to go back to a place or take somebody to a place which gives them immense comfort, and it nourishes not just their body but their soul as well.
And you are a proud advocate of Sindhi cuisine. Can
That's
you
right.
please explain our audience what exactly is special about Sindhi foods?
Well, I keep saying this and I don't tire saying it, that Sindhi food is the original fusion food of the world. The way it evolved or it developed over the millennia, not just the decades or the centuries, a product of the Indus Valley civilization. Sindhis Sindh, and
Mm.
India are named after the Indus River. So the whole subcontinent gets its identity from that part of the world. Add to that, over centuries and over hundreds of years, the region has seen diversity in geography. The region has seen diversity in food influences because it was situated at the crossroads. They were trading with Central Asia on the caravan routes. They were trading with the Arab world and the African continent and the rest of the world via the sea route. So the cuisine developed because all these goods were passing through, no? From China, from Central Asia, from southern India. So the influences of world food were always there on Sindhi food. It's a distillation of culinary practices around the world. And that only got amplified when the trade routes opened up and Sindhi started conducting their businesses from Panama to Kobe. Okay, so you will find us using glass noodles, which are very Asian, but we use it in our kulfi faluda. So we don't use the starch of the corn noodles in our kulfi faluda. We use the glass noodles. We also use macaroni in a very unusual way. We cook it with meat and bake it, and this is the influence from the Sindhis living abroad and the Sindhis who traded with Europe. When they were living there, they probably didn't have access to Indian groceries, right? So they had to eat whatever was available to them. And when they came back home, and this is all my imagination and my extrapolation of how the trade was working. It's not a documented fact, but it's just my
I mean,
take on what
when
could
you
have,
connect the dots.
when I try to connect the dots, right? That when they came back from Europe, they probably brought some pasta or they described it to their wives. And what did the wife do? She made it with the masala she had. So an Italian pasta became a Sindhi macaroni patata. So we make macaroni and potatoes with masala and we eat it with roti on rice. So it is carb on carb on carb. Okay, but it is really tasty. It's really tasty. And then the Hyderabadi take on it, the ones who are living abroad a lot, they make it with meat and they put eggs and cheese and they bake it and they call it kime jo lolo. So for us, lola is like a flat bread and it's very tasty and rich. So they call it kime jo lolo. Some people call it a meat pie and some people call it talle badi. So there are various influences on our food and we thrive in it. And that's why I feel that Sindhi food is woke before woke became a food term.
I mean, it has such rich culture and even that rich taste.
And despite being woke and getting influenced by cuisines all over the world, it is still rooted in Ayurveda because
Ah,
that is where the Vedas were written. Let's not forget. The Vedas were written on the banks of the Sindhu River. So, and a lot of our food is based on Ayurvedic principles. What we eat in various seasons, what ingredients we put in, what spices we use in which ingredients. It balances every dish to make it ideal for your body in that season. Like we use a lot of cardamom and pepper. Now they counterbalance each other. Cardamom is cooling, pepper is heaty, and they use it a lot in our food. So these nuances, as I keep studying and as I keep exploring my cuisine more and more and look at it from a distance sometimes, it just, it never stops to amaze me how rooted we are in Ayurveda and yet we have worldwide influences in the food.
I have two questions here. Firstly, can you please educate a little more about seasonal cooking? Because I think now today we are open to get ingredients all seasons, and we have the world cuisine in available for us at any point. So there is no specific seasonal cooking that we are choosing to do in the current moment.
I think the best factor to determine what is in season is if you're buying on an app, when you see the prices, whichever is the cheapest is what is in season and what is local. Whichever is most expensive has probably traveled a lot or has been grown in the wrong season. That is the first thumb rule. You see what is cheap. And when you're walking around or when you go to a market, what do you see heaps of? In different seasons, you'll see piles of different vegetables or fruits, and that is what the earth is giving you. So just take those visual and monetary cues and cook with those ingredients. Your bank balance will be happy, and so will your tummy.
Absolutely. And also, it nourishes your body because nature is giving you to eat that in that particular season, right?
So the earth, when it produces something in abundance, means it is the best time for it to thrive, right? So in winters in Bangalore, you get avrekai everywhere, and you get, like I said, you put up in big piles avrekai, kadlekai, greens are put out in big piles, sopu. So that's your cue to eat that in that season because the earth is giving it to you with the correct microbes that are in the soil and the air in that weather, and those will inoculate you against getting ill. But if you're trying to eat something that is meant for summer in the winter, it's going to have the wrong kind of effect on your body
So, ಯಾವ
because your
season
body is not ready to digest it.
so ಯಾವ season ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ರೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ತಿನ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತೀರಾ.
Correct.
Perfect. Coming back to the Sindhi culture and cuisine, if it was that expensively rich in tradition and culture, somewhere do you think we have lost it over years, or why are we trying to revoke it now? Like, where is that connection kind of slightly lost in between?
I think not just Sindhis, a lot of communities are realizing that our own food is disappearing from our own dinner plates. Now, I'm married to a Rajput. I grew up in Bombay. I'm now living in Bangalore. So, my dinner plate or my lunch is affected by where I am and what I'm doing. We travel as a family, so we get influenced by outside food that we enjoyed and we can't go back again and again, so you want to recreate it at home. So I realized that our food is disappearing from our plates. We are not listening to the earth and we are not listening to the ancient wisdom that our forefathers had left us in their legacy. And unless we don't hold on to it or at least document it, we will lose out on an entire culture. Right now, today we have, broccoli and zucchini and avocados ruling the minds of the younger generation. That's because media is pushing it to them as healthy. I think we have done ourselves a disservice. We haven't advocated enough for ourselves, no matter which part of India we're from. Now, today, if you travel, you take a road trip anywhere, Bombay upwards, if you drive, you'll get paneer everywhere, but you may not get the seasonal vegetable. That's because people think, oh, these are people coming in a car, they want to eat only fancy food. So, paneer is the epitome of hospitality for vegetarian food and stuff like that. So, that's where we have gone wrong as a culture. We have kind of, dismissed the ancient wisdom and we are trying to hold on to new things which do not have, they say they have evidence of being healthy and more nutritious and whatever. But 10 years later, the same scientists are dismissing that evidence. So, what do you believe? I think I'd rather believe what my forefathers left me than believe in a shape shifting medical evidence or scientific evidence which gives me different results. So, I don't know what to believe anymore. And I think we will actually enrich ourselves if we try to look at it with a scientific mind. And you see the effect on your body. We need patience and we need to get back these things on our plate. Otherwise, we lose our biodiversity as well. You lose out on your ecology, you lose out on economics, and you lose out on nutrition. And that leaves us poor, very, very poor.
So, according to you, how do you think we can revive our ancient cuisines or the recipes, and also probably be open to the new innovative cuisines that's coming? But how do you cherish the ancient ones?
I think we need to start taking pride in our culture. We somewhere got very whitewashed with media projecting things onto us, the way we need to look, the way we need to dress, the way we need to eat. And it's not making sense because if you noticed, if you try take the effort to observe the Western world is facing severe health crises, whether it's in lifestyle diseases, whether it's obesity, or on any scale. If it has not helped them, how is it going to help us? And they're the ones advocating for it. So we need to now step back and advocate for and realize the richness and the wisdom in our own cuisines, whether it's Kannadiga cuisine, whether it's Sindhi cuisine, Gujarati cuisine, Punjabi cuisine. We need to go back to the roots on what our grandmothers were eating. And most of us don't have our grandmothers alive anymore, and that knowledge is disappearing. So we need to hold on to it, document it. We are very poor documenters in India. हाँ ये तो हंसते खेलते हो जाता है, it's just, it happens on its own. We don't need to worry about it. But that's how we lose out. We don't document enough. We don't stick to the older methods. We don't see how nuanced our systems were in balancing everything in a circular economy. And these are now work terms that foreign returned educators and advocates are telling you. But you had it already.
Correct.
You just chose not to look at it.
And in fact, if you see every second day, there's some research that's popping up and saying one day they say coffee is good for you, second day they say no, these many cups of coffee can ruin your sleep or your cycle. So every research that's coming is up with their routine and their intake. So if you actually research about what Indian food is and how that has been helping us to kind of be such healthier beings, such mentally stable beings, if you see the sicknesses of the Asian countries and the Western countries are completely different too.
Absolutely. And we also have to remember that what may work for somebody sitting in a Western hemisphere may not work here because the soil is different, the water is different, the weather is different. So their cuisine or what they are growing is ideal for where they are living. What is ideal for us is where we are living, what's growing here, how the food system here is. And we try to introduce these foreign foods or exotic foods. We are only hurting ourselves. So, yes, it's nice to have it for novelty once in a way, but don't make that your mainstream diet. Keep that as an indulgence or a treat, but when you eat day to day food, make sure 80% of your food is local and natural to your environment. There's no harm in enjoying your life.
So, how do you imbibe these nutritional facts or homegrown foods while you're imparting the same education, culinary education, to probably the other chefs or wherever you transfer your knowledge to?
I don't have a formal teaching program, but yes, when I do my food festivals, I make sure that I teach all the younger chefs who are in the industry today what our food systems are about. Now, the Indian culinary universe is so large. I don't think any of us can claim to know it all. Every region has its sub communities, its sub cuisines. It is impossible. And at the end of the day, the chefs who are coming out of culinary school have studied for 3 years at a very young age. So I think it is our duty as senior people in the industry or senior people in this world to impart that knowledge and make them curious. And, only if you demonstrate it to them what the difference is when you're doing it this way or that way, only then will they learn, because the tongue doesn't lie. When they taste something that is made in the proper way compared to what is made in a concocted fashion or with artificial ingredients, they can tell the difference. Even children, like my own girls, they used to hate me when they were young, that I'm not going to give you watermelon in the winter. I'm not going to give you this in the summer. I'm going to give you only, chemical-free food. But now they realize the kind of benefit it has on their body and how it affects the world around them. We never carried packaged food when we were going on road trips. We would travel for 15 days without carrying a single packet of food in our car. We would just stop and eat fresh food in every place we felt hungry. So that's how you inculcate into them. They will hate you in the beginning. No, children are born to love their parents in toto. They will hate you at some point for what you're putting them through. But I think the biggest reward is when they come back to you and said, yes, mom, this was good and this was right. And they cannot tolerate food with chemicals now. They travel the world and they make sure they will eat either fresh food or they will make something themselves, but they will not eat out of packets all the time.
And I think that's their biggest learning once they grow up as adults, right? As
Yeah.
a child, probably they will not be understanding it.
And even when, like you said, about educating people and doing what I do in food festivals, I have a lot of guest feedback who says, oh, you took me back to my nanny's house, or you took me back to my childhood because this is the way my grandmother would cook. And I felt really comforted and I felt really, it was a soothing meal. So that's the whole point. The whole point of food is to nourish you and not to agitate you or make you sick.
And people, as you said, associate a lot of happy memories to food. And when they have something so close to home, they
Yeah,
feel comforted, which they are missing in this fast life.
that's right.
Today, there are so many contradictions when it comes to food. People are scared about carbs, people are scared about fats. So, as a chef, what is the knowledge that you want to give from your experience?
I feel, you know, it's your attitude when you're eating. Whether you're having a simple fatless broth or if you're having the richest meal in town, if you're eating with gratitude and you're eating it happily, nothing is going to harm you. But at the same time, you eat in moderation and exercise self control. Just because it's good doesn't mean you have to eat it all in one day. But yeah, cook with love, eat with gratitude, and that'll take you really far.
Today, when you are reading more and more about the culinary inventions that's happening, and how are you able to relate to the ancient knowledge that you have gained? Probably your perspective is from years of your knowledge, and today, when you see something new, how are you able to balance the old knowledge that you contain, and how do you equate it, or how do you see what exactly you need to take from it?
I think you're pointing to progressive cuisine, which I don't do. I have nothing against it. The only thing I am against is putting unnecessary chemicals in your food. So, if the essence of the food is at the core and you're able to give me something visually that'll wow
Okay.
me, I think those moments are also enjoyable. I have nothing against what. I just feel that food should be accessible and food should be affordable. So it is lovely to see these beautifully made plates and very, very detailed work. But sometimes that food does not comfort you because it comes to you at room temperature, it comes to you cold. And as Indians, I think our main association food is, it's like in Kannada we say bisi bisi. It has to be warm, it has to, and only then it soothes you. We live in a hot climate, but we like hot
Still,
food. But what we forget is the food combinations that we have are actually cooling the body from inside. So it may be busy, but it'll make you very shant at the end of the meal.
I mean, South Indian food, if you can see ragi or whatever elements would we incorporate in our diet, is definitely cooling. So, after coming to South, have you imbibed a few of the ingredients here, or you still cook majorly South Sindhi food and a very few
I
South Indian?
I cook all kinds of food and I
Okay.
enjoy all kinds of food as long as it is well made and it is fresh, or it's made with the right intent. I can enjoy anything. I do incorporate, especially the tiffin items I can't do without, whether it's the uppit or the kesri bhat, the benne dosa is like, I'm a sucker for benne dosa. I love benne dosa. So yeah, I love South Indian food, but I like to keep going back to my own food also because that's what comforts me. It's a combination of both, though. My daughter will come into town from London, and the first thing she wants is dosa you know and if I'm traveling there, please carry dosa powder with you because I want dosa when you come you know so yeah, it's become part of our life, but we do good balance of both.
You were speaking about the challenges initially before entering MasterChef, how you had with your business. So, how was actually the transition from home cooking to professional cooking, and what were the initial challenges for you?
I think the main challenge was working in these large kitchens with these large utensils which are wider than you sometimes. And at home, we're not used to those high speed burners, so they can startle you sometimes. But I think I got used to it. In my first professional cooking, I took a friend with me, a friend I made on Masterchef, Sachin. He really helped me because he had experience in a professional kitchen. And to navigate that world seemed very daunting at first, but I think I've made friends with it. And now I enjoy that mass scale and, working like I'm rowing a boat and making huge batches. It's fun. I think I've had a good time doing both sides, doing single servings beautifully plated on MasterChef, as well as doing large buffets for 100, 200 people at a time.
Do you actually enjoy cooking all the time? Do you ever get bored of it?
I never get bored of it, even when I'm on vacation. Like recently, we were on a trip to Vietnam and they were doing some demo. And I sat and made Vietnamese rolls for all my friends. So it's fun. I can't resist. It's a, like in Hindi we say keeda hai. I have that keeda of wanting to cook. I'll go on holidays and then I'll sign up for a cooking course or I'll like advance some skills and stuff like that. So yeah, I love learning myself as well and to see how other food systems work, what they are incorporating, what they're doing, what is local, what is the influence from a nearby country, what is an influence from immigrants to that country. So yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, I remember you speaking about a Thai workshop that you have been working on in Thailand when
Yes,
you're traveling. So, how does that come? So, are you going there to learn their cuisine or to understand what ingredients they would use and how their flavors are?
both because Thai pastes were my business, and the whole point was to give people almost fresh food. Like fresh in the sense I would make fresh paste and freeze them,
Mm-hmm.
and they were sold frozen. And I wanted to update my skills. So whenever I travel, I make sure I keep a few days aside to enhance my own knowledge as well.
So, the learning curve is always on for you.
It's continuous. It doesn't end ever.
And do you make the same exotic stuff at home also?
Sometimes I do. Like I have a cook, but I'll tell him to just do the prep and then the final masala. It depends at that point when I'm standing at the stove what I'm in the mood for. So the same boiled dal could go in a Bengali direction, it could go in a Sindhi direction, or it could become a sambar. So it's totally, I'm very whimsical that way.
Experimental.
Yeah,
From the transition you have seen yourself into a professional setup, as you said, what are the bigger changes in yourself?
I think I've learned to step back and give others charge. And that's very important at my age. If I want to keep teaching or keep doing the food festivals, I have to be able to delegate and trust that the young team that is assigned to me will do their job well. They are standing in that hotel every day doing that work. Only the spicing is different where I'm concerned. And they are professional enough to take orders and still point out to you in a very nice way that, ma'am, ye aisa nahi hoga, ye aisa hoga. Okay, so it's a give and take. I'm teaching them something. I'm also learning a lot from them. So yeah, I've learned to delegate, and there have been times where, like in the first 2 3 days of a food festival, I'll be the one cooking and they'll be the ones watching. And towards the end of the festival, the tables turn. They're the ones cooking and I'm the one watching.
I mean, the experience is really nice. Like the young chefs being uh, so observant in learning, and suddenly they are like making their best self available there. So I'm sure it's so satisfying for
Yeah,
you
and
to
the
be there.
biggest learning for them is that your food sounds North Indian, but you don't put butter and you don't put cream. And they are shocked, when I send them my ingredient list. Butter or cream is not on the list. I said, no, I don't need it because food can taste without that. Because food can taste very good without adding butter and cream unnecessarily. And that's what we need to learn, that people say eating out is bad, but please choose wisely what you're eating out. Or butter chicken is delicious, nothing against it, but don't make it at every meal the same way.
I mean, it's pretty much the same ingredients, right? Everybody has the same ingredients, and you just need to choose. So
Yeah.
how, at what age did you understand that these ingredients make all the difference, and how to choose the right ingredients?
I think especially after my marriage, when I started cooking every day. See, when you're staying with your parents, your mom has her, stash and you're just using what she has. And when I got married, I said, oh, I'm going to use this oil because this advertisement says it's doing this, this, this. And then when I fried that oil, the next morning, I woke up and I saw everything had turned green. I said, no, this is not happening. I need to buy what my mom buys because at home you never saw that chemical change in the oil that you fried in. And I was aghast. So that whole batch of oil was thrown. And that was a big learning that use things in their most natural state and it will do you no harm.
Today, I mean, there's a like a lot of lash against the refined oils, and at some point we were only using cold press oils. So the advertisements kind of pushed us
They
towards.
misled us, no?
They misled us, of course.
And if you see, the incidence of heart diseases has increased after heart healthy oils were pushed on
Pushed
us.
on to
Yeah.
us, rightly said. So when you're using these ancient principles of cooking or the cuisines that have been age-old practices, you don't have to consciously choose the ingredients. Like everything that's given is nutritious.
Not necessarily. Again, it comes down to moderation. Methi is good for you, but having methi in everything all the time will make it very bitter and will have an adverse effect on your body, right? So you choose wisely, you choose as far as natural things as possible and eat them in the right season.
What are the mistakes people who are regularly cooking do? Like basic things, if you can pinpoint.
I think it's got to do with focus. Nowadays, our lives are so fragmented. The 6-inch fellow called the phone is just ruining our lives because we're constantly, oh, you'll get a notification, oh, you're speaking to somebody, and you get distracted and you lose your focus on what you're doing. I think cook with focus and everything will be fine. When you cook, all you need is focus and intent. The ingredients and everything comes later. That'll come with practice, getting it right. But if you don't have focus, no matter you may have the world's best pantry, but you will never cook right. Make sure you have enough focus.
I'm sure this is the message for the people who are cooking, but what is that you want to speak about for people who choose not to cook or who can't cook? Is cooking really important?
It is a good life skill to have. I think COVID taught us that. Okay. But at the same time, people should learn to read the back of the envelope or the back of the package. The lesser the number of ingredients, the better it might be for your body. And if there are no alphanumeric ingredients, nothing like it.
And you also spoke a lot about sustainability and be local. So, is this a core nature of you, or you picked it over years, seeing the labels and seeing all the contamination that's happening to the food?
I think it's a combination of both. It is my nature, yes. And when I was expecting my first baby, and that's when, you tend to read up a lot. And back then there was no internet. So you read books and they say, oh, you should avoid this, avoid that, and all. And then your parents also guide you, your people around you who have more experience guide you. And if it has gone right for them, it may not go wrong for you, right? So you learn from others. You learn to, remove unnecessary things from your food. Yes, you do give in to cravings once in a way, and it's human nature. But if you keep things as clean as possible in terms of ingredients, I think it's good. Nothing, it will never harm you.
You have come a long way and have been spreading the knowledge that you have shared. At this phase of life, what are you more excited about?
I think I'm just excited about teaching and feeding Sindhi food to more and more people. And I'm also excited at the same time to learn more and more because even within Sindhis, we have a lot of communities. I knew the cooking of my community, but as I pick up books of authors from other Sindhi communities, I'm discovering so much more. And I'm like amazed at how rich our culture and cuisine is and how many influences it has incorporated without compromising on taste or quality. And that's something Sindhis are really known for. You go to a Sindhi home or even to a modest Sindhi restaurant, you will never be served bad food. And I can proudly say that.
Wow, this is something I will remember, and I'll definitely try Sindhi. Apart from your cuisine, I think your handmade food, I think I've not tried anything.
And that's a disservice we've done to ourselves. We haven't taken pride in our food to put it out and serve it to others and charge money for it. We're very hospitable and we're supposed to be money minded, but I don't know why we haven't opened enough restaurants for our food. And that needs to change. I believe it's changing. There are restaurants opening around the country. There are more and more Sindhi home chefs coming into the foray, supplying home cooked meals. And I'm so happy to see that, that few of us are advocating for this food and people are taking it seriously.
And I love the way how you're imparting your knowledge, but do you, in near future or anytime soon, have any plans of opening a restaurant?
No.
That's not your cup
No.
of tea.
Because then I'll be stuck in one location. I would rather go around the country and teach more people and, impart my knowledge. I did a TV show last year. It was the first time in history, I think, anybody did 10 episodes of Sindhi food. So if I'm stuck in a restaurant managing the bottom lines every day, I don't think these opportunities will come to me.
And you have also been mentioning about documenting the richness and the culture of the food. So, what are you going to take any active steps in doing that?
I did it. I did the TV show.
TV show.
So that's a proper demonstration and written recipes of the food. Yeah. And I was very lucky to get that chance. And hopefully, I'll be doing it in many more ways.
So, as much as we are enjoying the talk about Sindhi cuisine, we are not familiar. I mean, I'm not familiar with the Sindhi delicacies. So, what would be the next try that I must give, or the friends that I meet?
So, if you really want to enjoy Sindhi food, go to any Sindhi's home on a Sunday.
Achha.
You will be greeted with kadi chawal, aloo ka tuk and meethi bundi. That is our signature Sunday comfort bowl. For non-veg eating families, many families make the mutton on Sunday, which is the sale mutton. And some people are lavish enough to put a shot of alcohol in it as a finishing touch. So that is amazing. In winters, you should definitely try the sai bhaji, which is actually in Bangalore, you can make it all year round. You get greens all year round. So it's a medley of 6, 7 greens. It's got dals, it's got sabzis. And as mothers, I think we love feeding this to our children because it contains everything and you can hide all the vegetables in it, for which the kids don't otherwise eat, like a lauki or a bengan and stuff like that. You must definitely try our travel companion, the Sindhi koki, which is it's like a wheat version of a akki roti, but it's far richer and it's almost like a crispier version.
Okay.
And we have a meetha lola, which is like a thick sweet roti or a sweet paratha. And these two we carry when we travel. We can't do without them. And at any Sindhi's house, you should definitely have our papad khicha. You should have, if the season is right, the moringa flowers, which is a superfood now, but we've been having it for centuries. So we make vegetable out of it. We make a raita out of it. So these are some things you definitely must try. And if they are able to do it for you, the singer ki mithai, which is the save that you see on chart and all. So a thicker version, a salt-free version of it is made into a mithai. And that's something you must really try.
And can you suggest few restaurants in Bangalore to try Sindhi cuisine?
In Bangalore, there's only one guy doing it, but he does it on pre-order. He's called Agni Sagar. He's in Sheshadripuram. Or then you wait for me to invite you home.
Thank you, Deepa. Now, I think it's a pleasure to know that there's so much available, but it's not accessible to people.
And we need to change that.
And probably that's what you're doing by entering into the five-star industry.
I want to make it aspirational. If people see it being served at 5 stars, then the restaurants lower down the chain want to imitate.
Correct.
And they'll say, okay, I can do it at a better price. And that's how the food will go. It stayed at the bottom of the pyramid for too long. It didn't go up. Now the point is to do the reverse. Take it to the top and then let it filter down. And so we cover all bases.
So someday can we expect the Bombay chaat or the Delhi chaats which we see on the streets, like the Sindhi food or Sindhi chaats or something like that?
Outside the Sindhi
Outside
community,
Sindhi
right?
community?
Yeah. Our tikkis are amazing. Our dal pakwan is amazing. We put 3 different dals in it. Unlike in the north where you get with only chana dal, our version of dal pakwan is very different. So I hope you get to
I mean, this already
try
feels
these.
history for me because we have never tried it. I have never tried it. So, to all these feels like from another era altogether. So, Sindhis, I understand why you advocate so strongly for your culture to just persist and continue to grow. Because I think it definitely needs a voice to speak.
It's hidden in plain sight.
So, as a Sindhi at heart and at core of you, what is the vision that you have for Sindhi culture?
I just wish we take pride in it, we don't forget it, and we don't forget that we came from a culture where, when the Indus Valley civilization excavations were done, not a single weapon was found. And I just hope we stick to that and we stick to being the refined people that we were and that we are, and we learn more and more about our culture and keep that legacy for our future generation.
Also, before I close, I want to ask you few suggestions for aspiring chefs. Today, if I see Instagram, there are hundreds of budding chefs. So, what suggestions would you give them to aspire a career in cooking or in baking?
I think I would say be consistent, don't lose your focus, and B, the real test is, are people willing to pay you for it? As a content creator, people may leave you very nice comments. The real test is when people buy your food. They're willing to put their money where their mouth is. And if you're able to convert people to putting their money where their mouth is, you've done it.
You have gained a lot of love and audience after your Masterchef because you have become a lot more famous than you were. Do you think that has changed any of your work trajectory when it comes to the work you're doing?
It's given me opportunities like never before. If I was just a home chef, I wouldn't have been able to go and cook in 5-star hotels. Nobody would, entertain my pitch if MasterChef hadn't given me that platform. So yes, it made major shift in my life. I never dreamt I would go and cook in a Taj or a Hilton, but that happened.
So success laid the next stones for you to spread your Sindhi culture.
Yes, and when the MasterChef judges, somebody like a Vikas Khanna or a Garima Arora or a Ranveer Brar is appreciating the food and the effort, others take note. And that was the biggest gift I got from MasterChef, is the voice and the platform to advocate for this food and take it to many more places.
And let the voice keep spreading that inspiration to many more chefs that are budding seeing you talk.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deepa.